Hello, welcome back to Love Surf Connect. My name is Alfredina, and today I want to talk to you about scars. Do you have any scars? Have you gotten anything that left you marked permanently? And I don't mean a tattoo, but it could be tattoos if you regretted them um, for this video. Well, actually, today I was listening to a song called Scars in Heaven. And I had not heard this song since, I'm going to say around 2020 to 2023. I stopped listening to that song, as beautiful as it is, because it would break me down immediately. Like, I cannot count how many tears I shed in the kitchen. I'm cooking, I'm cleaning, I'm doing something, and then that song comes up unexpectedly, and I'd break down in tears. Because in January 12th of 2022, we lost a very dear family member. She lost her battle with cancer and passed away at a very young age, and it was absolutely devastating. After her death, Casting Crowns came up with the song. And man, it just spoke so much of the pain that I was going through, her family, her children, cousins, everybody was just going through. That's expected. And the premise of the song is saying that acknowledging the hard path that she went through, because dying of any illness is terrible, and knowing that once her journey was done on earth, she's never going to feel that pain again. And there's a line that says, and knowing that your wounds are healed are healing mine. It says, the thought that makes me smile now, even as the tears run down, is that the only scars in heaven are in the hands that hold you now. And that left me thinking how amazing Jesus is. That's referring to Jesus dying on the cross and having scars on his hands, on his feet, and on his side. And we know that even after resurrection, it seems, because of an interaction that he had with his disciples, and particularly Thomas, that he did not gift himself the gift that he is promising us. When we die and we come back, in heaven, when we go to heaven, we're going to have new bodies. Everything old will be made brand new. But when he resurrected, he had the scars, and that was his proof to several of his disciples that he was the same Jesus that was crucified, laid down on a tomb, and then came back to life. He is going to show in his hands the price that he paid for us to be able to have new bodies, without scars, without wounds, without pain. That will break me if I just stop to think about it. And then I started thinking, because a lot of 2-3 years have gone by since the last time I had heard it, and I have acquired several new scars since then. And it made me think of my relationship to scars. When I was little, I think I was in kindergarten, a boy shoved me into a metal fence in school, and I got 8 stitches, and I have this lovely scar right here. Then there was another incident a few years later where I had something that wasn't supposed to be picked, but my father decided that he should have. So I have another gnarly little scar right here. I was sick, I was coughing a lot, and one of those coughing fits got a blood vessel to pop right here. So if you're ever looking at my videos and you're like, what's that thing in her eye? It's that. It's a little mark to remind me of, pains that I've been through. And well, right now, they just form a part of my face. I cannot recall a time where my eye didn't look like that. It's always like shocking when somebody brings that up and they're like, "What's that? What's going on there?" I'm like, "Oh, I completely forget about it." Like, I don't recognize my face without those three things in this one eye. I don't know what's up with my left side, but it likes scars, so it just collected them all. Um, but recently, most recently, I went through an operation and I have four little new scars. And I realized like these new scars reminded me how broken I felt when I first received this ones. I remember being a little girl once the stitches were taken out, and I just kept waiting for like, when is my eyebrow going to like fill in? Like what like I felt broken. Like I was in mid condition and then I got a chip. There's something that's just never going to go away that becomes a part of me. With time, I got to ignore it, except for when I go get my eyebrows done in a new place that I have to like explain to them, hey, don't overtake from one side because this is not an arc. This is a scar taken away from it. It just becomes a little bit of an inconvenience, but I do remember what happened that day. I remember what happened when I went to the hospital. I remember all those things, and that's just there as a part of a lived experience in me. The same thing with the eye, and now with that operation. Like I see my body, and on some days I'm like, oh wow, oh my gosh, I made it out of something scary. And other days I feel bad for myself. Maybe I'm exposing myself, and I'm still very much trying to deal with the feelings that come from getting scars, because they are there and they do not go away. And a part of me doesn't want them to, because I want to know what I've overcome. And a part of me makes me sad that I went through the things that I went through to obtain those scars. So there's this little battle when it comes to scars. I wonder if you have felt that way. But there's a different kind of scar sometimes that we have, and it's in our heart or is in our soul because of traumas, things that we've done or that have been done to us. And those are so difficult, especially when they come tied with a reputation. And you did some stuff or you went through some things, and now the way, not just the way that you feel in your body or the way you see yourself, but the people around you, the world around you labels you a certain way. And that's hard. That's really, really difficult. And we all have a past. We've all made mistakes. And some mistakes, depending on the circle, can really tarnish your reputation or make people treat you as if you're less human or deserving because of what you've been through. And maybe you treat yourself that way, as if because of the scars that you have received through life, as if that disqualifies you from being worthy of love, of respect, of redemption, of salvation, like as if you're not worthy to come to God, as if His power is good for people who messed up, but not as much as you did. This message is not going to be for everybody. But if you are like me and you have some body scars and you have some soul scars, I hope that this encourages you. I made really bad decisions. After I got baptized when I was 16 years old, by the time I was 18, I was disillusioned with life. There was a lot of things going on in my personal life. I was disillusioned with church, not God, but with church. But because my introduction to church and a relationship with God were never separated, I felt that if I wasn't going to a church, then I was turning my back from God. I truly didn't have anything against God. I just felt that I wasn't good enough to follow God. And I remember making a very conscious decision at the age of 18 that I was gonna, I'm gonna go to hell anyway, because I felt that I had done enough bad things at such an early age. Like I think about that now as a 40-year-old, and I'm like, wow, well, I hadn't even begun to live. But the guilt that I carried inside made me feel like I had gone too far. I had done too much. I had lived too much. So since I couldn't clean up enough to go back to God, I was going to go to hell, so might as well live like it. And so I stopped. I just stopped going to church. I stopped praying. I stopped even trying to read the Bible. I just stopped altogether. And I remember having conversations like that with my mother and telling her, hey, she's like, oh, so when are you going to come back to the ways of the Lord? I was like, Mom, I'm going to hell. Like, she's like, don't say that. God knows what you've been through. I'm like, yeah, God knows. And God also knows that I turned my back on him. I didn't understand his love. I didn't understand his grace. I didn't understand how much he had invested already in me and in loving me. And I truly didn't understand unconditional love. So I wasn't expecting it from a God that was introduced to me as this tyrant who just wanted you to live a certain way, and nothing short of that was good enough for him. Right? So I had this dilemma and I walked away. And I could say that the following next 5 years of my life truly were horrible, because one bad decision led to another, to another, to another. And I found myself in a really bad place, bad relationship, abusive relationship. I had treated myself as if I wasn't worthy of love or respect. And I allowed treatment that just tore me apart and put me down so much that I didn't even recognize myself, not emotionally, not even physically. I lost so much weight that I wasn't unrecognizable to even myself. I treated myself so poorly, and I behaved in such ways that it felt sometimes that I was like watching myself act and talk and like, what are you doing? Like, you're better than this. Like, you know better than this, rather. But I couldn't seem to stop. And then eventually, God stepped in. He said, enough is enough. This is the time. And boy, was it the time. And I was ready. And so when he called me this time around, I said yes. And I said yes with a caveat. And this I always say as a part of my testimony, because I grew up hearing that unless you do XYZ, God won't stoop to you, to your level, to get you. And I find that biblically and experientially, that is the farthest from the truth. The farthest. And I remember that night that I gave my life to God. I said, hey, in my heart, I was praying and I said, hey, I'm hearing these new things from you. I'm hearing that you love me. I'm hearing that you gave your son for me. I'm hearing all these things, but that's not the God that I know. But if that's you and you love me and you still want me with everything I've done and lived, with every poor decision that I've made, with all the things that I know that you know, because I do know enough of you to know that you've been in every room with all the stuff that you know everything. You're omniscient. And if you still want me, you know that I cannot put you first. The relationship that I'm in is too important. I'm not going to walk away from that. The life that I have built for myself, as bad as it is my life. I can't walk away. I'm not strong enough to walk away from it. I have nowhere to go. So if you love me, you will resolve all of that. And what I was referring to, because I'm a very practical person, even in my emotional states, was that I lived in a place that I shouldn't have been living in. I had surrounded myself fully, not with family or friends, but with people. My whole entire network of people were people that were not for me. But it's all I had been in for 5 years. And I had neglected every other relationship. And I had pushed away everybody that could possibly be pushed away. I was down to like one friend, my best friend. So I had pushed everyone away. I had no support system. I worked in a place that I shouldn't be working. And to walk away from all of that meant that life as I knew it was going to change, and I did not have a plan. I would have to trust God to give me that way out. And I said, I don't know how that would even happen, but if you love me, you would do it for me some way, somehow. And once you do, I know that you're real. I know that you love me, and I'll never walk away. Needless to say, this is needed to say, that same night, God orchestrated very traumatic things. In the moment, it did not feel like God intervening. But boy, did he. That same day, I was living in a different place. I was out of that relationship. I was out of that circle of people and I was out of that job in one night. It did not take him not even 1 hour to undo all the stuff that I had done in 5 years to myself. And I in no way, shape, or form going to tell you that that night didn't feel like my world ended or that I didn't experience horrible pain. It was one of the darkest times of my life. But what kept me going from just taking one more step and one more step and one more step was that prayer. If you love me, do this for me. Not, I love you, God, and I'll do anything for you. It's me telling him, you're not number one in my life. And that was anti anything that I had been taught at church. And I got to know that night my Savior, the one that makes you a new creation. Shortly after, I continued with Bible study. I went back to church. I got rebaptized. I believed what the Bible said. And this is the text that got me through. That got me through the judgment of others when I came back to church, all full of scars, inside and out. It's this. It's found in 2 Corinthians chapter 5. Let's start at verse 17. This means that anyone who belongs to Christ has become a new person. The old life is gone and a new life has begun. And all of this is a gift from God, who brought us back to himself through Christ. And God has given us this task of reconciling people to him. For God was in Christ reconciling the world to himself, no longer counting people's sins against them. And he gave us this wonderful message of reconciliation. So we are Christ's ambassadors. God is making his appeal through us. We speak for Christ when we plead, come back to God. The first part. This is a gift from God. He brought us back to himself through Christ. I held on to that verse 17 where it says, if you belong to Christ. And that night I gave myself to Christ. I gave him a caveat and he said, no problem. I'll undo it. I got this. And he showed me his power, his great, amazing love and power that night. And so I took to know that every time the shame arose in me, every time I saw the scars emotionally, the trauma, spiritually, the memories of what I had done, the memories of the things that had been done to me, in this time where I voluntarily and with my whole chest stood there and said, God, nope, I'm going to go this way, although I know that this is the right way. I mean, that's rebellion. That is bad in any way, shape, or form that you want to see it. But that he would still not discount me, that he would still reach out and grab me. That meant everything to me. And I became his, and I became a new creation. But the new body, the scarless body, the perfect reputation, all those things are going to come in heaven. While I walk this earth, I have learned to put more value in what God says about me, that in him I am a new creation. And when shame wants to arise and remind me of what I did or who I was or what people did to me or what people say and think about me, I get to know that that was the old me and that was my old life. I have a new life. It was redeemed by the blood of Christ. It was powerfully consecrated to him through the powerful events of that night. And then every time a shame would come to remind me of things that God already made new in me, I would hold on to this. I am a new creation in Christ. That is who I am. Not what the scars tell me that I am. They can remind me of bad things, but it's always going to end in praise and in gratitude because I'm not there anymore. Scars can be a very tricky thing because you get to give it meaning. You get to remember the bad things that happened that cost them. People can point and ask and say things about them, and you can choose to give it a meaning. You can choose to feel bad about yourself. Sometimes you have to just to go through the grieving process and get yourself to the other side. But even in that grieving process, God is with you. But you can also see them as that is one more proof that I survived, that I am a new creation, that I am a new person, and that I have a new life. And I no longer live for myself. I now live to fulfill this new and wonderful ministry, the ministry of reconciliation between God and me. But now that we are reconciled, I've been reconciled to the Father. I want to live my whole life helping others. Maybe you, if you are far from God, telling you, come back to God. There's nothing you've done that He cannot redeem or forgive. And there's absolutely nothing that has gotten done to you that was His will for your life or that He wanted for you to go through. But nothing will be wasted and everything will be healed in a better way than you ever thought possible. And I can tell you that because I've lived it. And I've messed up since, and He's never rejected me. And He's always reminded me of who I am. So if you need that reminder today, receive Christ, be in Him, and He, not you, He will make you a new creation. All the old things will pass away, and you will be able to behold the new things that He is creating in you. Thank you for listening, and I hope that this helps. And if this maybe wasn't for you, but God laid somebody in your mind that could be helped to hear who they are, and you feel compelled to share this video with them, share it with them. Because I wish I would have had a video like this when I was going through everything I was going through. God bless you guys. I love you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.